Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us here on Live Impact News. I'm Vanessa Rufus. We continue to cover the local impacts of the ongoing government shutdown. As you might remember now, as of this week, the longest in U.S. history. We are in day 38 right now. And we mentioned this as well as we speak, the Senate in session discussing an updated plan to partially fund the government past Thanksgiving with a full year's of funding for some agencies, but not all. We'll keep an eye on how that fares in the Senate. Meantime, we've got a local impact we've been talking about. That's the impact of these SNAP benefits being in limbo. Actually, just this morning, we broke the news that the Trump administration actually formally filed a emergency pause request on the federal judge ruling from yesterday afternoon, which ordered the administration to fully fund SNAP this month. So that is also, keep in mind, making its way through the court system as we speak. I want to bring in Nourish Up right now. COO Danielle Moore is joining us to talk about this emergency food drive, which is underway because we know, Danielle, there are some big impacts to folks in our community because of the SNAP and also just the ongoing shutdown with federal workers not getting paid. Y'all have been seeing a major increase, right, in the folks coming for help to your agency, your organization?
Yes, that's correct. We went and saw pretty much a 20% increase overnight since the government shut down in the neighbors that we're serving. So those furloughed federal workers that aren't receiving a paycheck, and now 140,000 plus SNAP recipients that aren't receiving benefits are calling our phones. Our lines are off the hook. We cannot answer them fast enough. And many people have showed up to our doors just looking for whatever they can find. And so we're here so people don't have to make the tough decision between putting food on their table or keeping a roof over their head.
Yeah, I mean, that 140,000 figure you mentioned, that is just Mecklenburg County alone. We know that there are 1.4 million North Carolinians who rely on SNAP benefits. And there was a figure that you shared with our news team earlier this week, which I think is really telling just the scope of how impactful SNAP is for these folks. The fact that you are saying that your organization, just Nourish Up, for every one person you feed, it's 9 people that SNAP feeds. And so kind of putting into perspective, you were saying, I mean, specifically to kind of paraphrase what you were saying, this is not a task that just Nourish Up or even Nourish Up with a bunch of local food pantries can actually band together and even try to touch. This is something that, SNAP is hugely impactful, and this is being greatly missed by the folks who rely on this. What have you been doing in the meantime to try to, I guess, get a handle on this mountain that is in front of you right now?
Yeah, so we are in emergency response mode. We are at the moment having mass packing and distribution events throughout the county. And what that looks like for us is really just ramping up operations, from purchasing more tractor trailer loads of food to packing more food boxes. And then, of course, having distribution sites where we can serve up to 500 in about 90 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of which, I was actually at your distribution site yesterday afternoon, the one at Eastern Hills Baptist Church, and it was a really eye-opening experience. I've done, volunteer work with Nourish Up before, but it was my first time at this specific distribution site. And so we were actually able to speak with a woman who said that she receives SNAP benefits, and so she said that this is a burden with the government shutdown, with those benefits being in limbo. But we were seeing other folks who it seemed like maybe it was their first time coming to you all for help, including there was a woman and her story. I mean, this sticks with me still. I mean, I think about she walked to the distribution site. She had a young child with her, and they actually walked, and they were actually going to walk home with their boxes of food until, after speaking with some of the volunteers, everyone was able to convince them to essentially take a lift back, like a ride share back, so they didn't have to walk back with all of their food. But she essentially, it sounded like she wasn't sure, like, is this the place to go? I've never done this before. And it was just really telling to me how quickly folks' circumstances can change in a situation like this. Maybe folks who might have never thought about, I might need food assistance, are now having to think about this right now.
Yeah, that is unfortunately a very common story. A lot of people that receive our services are actually new to food insecurity and hunger themselves. They've never experienced it before, especially when you think about someone that may be gainfully employed one day and then the next day they don't receive a check, right? And so we make sure that we educate the community that what hunger looks like is you and I. It could be any one of us at any time, and all it takes is one crisis, like a government shutdown, like COVID, like your car needing a battery replaced, to find yourself on the side of needing services and that hand up.
And I mean, I know you mentioned the 20% figure, that bump that you saw in clients since the government shutdown happened. I can tell you, your team told our team, because we had the whole WCNC Charlotte folks who were able to get to that distribution site to help out yesterday. Your team told us that just for that distribution event, as it relates to what you typically expect for the numbers at that event, it was a 49% increase, they were telling us. So it was even larger than kind of the average that you say that you've been seeing. I'm curious, how the different ways folks can help, because obviously we've been talking about this emergency food drive. So the non-perishable food, we're definitely inviting folks to come on over to Holy Comforter Episcopal Church from 10 to 4 p.m. And you can bring those non-perishable items to donate in person. We've been talking about donating via, basically online. You can text stuff the truck to 50155 and you'll get some information on how to donate online. And you were saying that you actually have some great buying power, in the sense of the monetary donations you get can actually probably go a lot further than maybe just an average consumer going to the grocery store trying to pick up, let's say, $50 worth of groceries.
Yeah, it certainly can, and that's just because we purchase in such volume. Again, when you're feeding 165,000 people, that's tractor trailer loads of food, right? And so we can get green beans, for example, at a way cheaper price than the average person can from even some of those wholesalers like Sam's, Costco's, and BJ's. So, I encourage you to donate online, nourishup.org. Definitely, you can donate the food. So think about things you and your family might want to eat. And those are the healthy type of things that we would encourage you to donate. And if you're anything like me and you're an online shopper, we also have an Amazon wish list that you can just a click of a button, order food and have it delivered right to our door. So all of those ways are great ways to get involved.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to ask about, for folks who maybe feel like they are not, with the means of being able to give at this time, but they still want to help. I know that y'all accept volunteers. Like I said, I've done work before where, you can go in the warehouse and you can help pack boxes. I've done the delivery driver volunteering where you actually have the boxes get packed up and you drive them to folks' homes if, they're homebound or there's some reason that they can't go in person to shop in your food pantries. What sort of volunteer opportunities will you have for folks specifically related to, this emergency response that you have? Are there any particular duties that folks can be doing for you right now as volunteers?
Yeah, so our number one need today as we speak is delivery drivers. We need drivers today that can use their personal vehicle to deliver our Meals on Wheels program. So we deliver a lunchtime meal to homebound seniors, about 500 homebound seniors a day. Or you can also help deliver through our grocery home delivery program. So delivering that week's worth or 7-day supply of groceries to neighbors' homes that can't get out, just like your story, right? A mom and a child having to walk to the pantry and thinking about how they're going to get 60 pounds of food home. Well, if you volunteer today to deliver groceries, that takes the worry off of that mom's plate. That's one less thing that she has to think about. And so today you can sign up to volunteer to deliver groceries or meals. And then as we speak, we are adding additional packing shifts in our warehouse so that we can continue to ramp up our emergency food box inventory.
How can folks sign up?
If you go to our website, nourishup.org, there is an entire volunteer tab with all of the opportunities listed, and it's a few clicks of a button. There's a sign up online.
All right. Very good to know for folks out there. Definitely encourage them to check that out. I think, personal experience. It's a great experience no matter which roles you take on, but the delivery driver one is particularly, great in the sense that while you don't always interact or interface with the folks you're dropping the food off, I mean, you can essentially leave it there at their door, but sometimes you get to chat with folks, and it's really eye-opening to get to meet your neighbors and hear their stories. So anything you'd like to leave our viewers with here on Live Impact before we wrap things up, either about the specific emergency drive or just in general how things have been going just in general in the last several weeks or months for Nourish Up?
Yeah, if I had one final thing to leave the viewers with, of course, you can always donate money and donate food and certainly donate your time through volunteering. But if you don't have capacity to do any of the other things, at the very least, please, please, please call your lawmakers and let them know again that there is a crisis. We are in a critical time where, again, no single organization, Nourish Up or anyone else, can fill in the gap for our nation's frontline defense against hunger, which is SNAP. So please call your lawmakers and advocate on behalf of our neighbors that can't do it themselves. They are counting on us to make our voices heard and let them know that we need these benefits released immediately. It's affecting people's lives.
Danielle Moore with Nourish Up, thank you so much for your time and all the work that you do in the community. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we'll remind you one more time the details on the food drive, just for folks who want to write this down or put this on their phone. So the in-person donation is this Saturday, so tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Holy Comforter Episcopal Church. That's at 2701 Park Road. Non-perishable food items accepted there. Online donation, stuff the truck, one word, stuff the truck to 50155. That will basically send you a link that you can donate through your phone. And you heard Danielle talking about the fact that that is very, important for them because they have some great buying power as they're able to buy food in bulk. So that money will go a long way.